is up, everybody? Happy Friday afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Yeah, brought a new guest, Seth Jaffe.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Good to
Yeah,
be on.
yeah. You missed out the last beach guarding social house open mic last night.
Oh, okay. So it's done, and then they're not going to do it anymore. Is that
No. They're gonna do it monthly now, but there's not a. They didn't give it. We didn't give a date.
okay? I will. Yeah, I was in San Diego. I was on a show last night. So
Oh, San Diego.
yeah, that's where. So a little bit of a drive this morning, but super
Oh
fun.
yeah, that is a bit of a drive. What, 3 hours?
Yeah, I stopped in Costa Mesa because I'm going to hit the gym and then go home, like mix it up a little bit. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm glad. How was the open mic last night?
Oh, okay. Hey, I gotta show you. Yeah, I got a Boss Stoner shirt from my trip to Boston.
Oh, is it legal there? I don't know, like the
Yeah,
states
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. Basically, is yeah.
Okay, I could, it's been 11 years since my last, I believe, doobie, if they still use that word. So I could, seeing your shirt, I could relapse. All right, I'm like one bag of Cheetos and a cactus cooler away from being like full blown addict, like once a week or maybe 1.5 times a week. It was complicated. So every day, it's a struggle. Just trying to get through
I
this.
do it at night. I can't do it at the daytime anymore.
I how come you can't do it during the daytime?
It just makes me lazy.
I was it made me super lazy for like the next entire day or longer, and I didn't stop eating.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally was like all joking. I couldn't handle it. It's like, well, and then I was like, it's a little too comfortable, and I don't think it would help me with comedy either. I feel like, you know what I mean. We need good energy to think of like things that are funny and jokes, and as a comedian, you're paying attention to things like you might be taking notes, and I feel like if I was high right now, I just wouldn't pay as much attention, so I might miss something that could be really funny.
I come up with my funniest just on mine. I just think of the most ridiculous things that will be funny. That like most of the time it's when I'm high.
I'm it's like last night after the show, I was talking to one of the comedians, and um Delia is her first name. I can't pull up. Very funny woman. I'd never seen her before, and then
Yeah.
she said something, and then because I paid attention this morning, it made me think of something while I was having coffee, and I just feel like that communication line. So
Yeah.
it's one of the things that people don't know is if you're a comedian, don't you feel like we almost always have to be paying attention?
Yeah.
You
Everything.
know, like I admit, like my wife has kind of made this point. Sometimes, like, do you find like because we're observing people for comedy, we're actually paying more attention and we can't just like relax and enjoy the moment? I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm hyper focused sometimes because I'm like, am I
Mm.
going to get like, is this going to yield like something on stage and it comes from one joke to like two jokes to all of a sudden a full like 5 minute bit? And so if I was high, I just don't like, I couldn't like focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just depends on the person, you know what I'm saying? So each
I
your
have,
own. Yeah, I just
but
can't do it daytime.
have you done any of the like the weed mics where it's like at a weed store or they're selling weed or handing out weed and it's like very, and I'm like the only non-weed. That's a different vibe.
Fortunately, like that's never happened in the 8 years I've been doing comedy.
Okay, yeah, and you got me. You are more than 4 times better than me. If I'm almost at a year and a half, right? Like I'm.
Yeah. Oh wow. I mean, especially like how good your comedy is and the dad jokes. I'm surprised it's only been a year.
I figured, like I think we both have kids, and it's like I have a son, and it's like, well, there's guys who are like 25 that have been doing comedy for like 8 years, let's say, and they, as well, and they're super young, but it's like, but they don't have kids, so maybe, or they're not married, so it's like, well, okay, they've got the experience over me clearly, and they're better than me. I think I know my place in the pecking order sometimes, but they can't talk about having a wife and kids, and I can't. So maybe that's like,
Yeah.
and then I think that they laugh when I think that they laugh when I talk about my struggles as a recovering weed addict. That seems to make them smile. I feel like were you at on Monday, were you at
Roxanne?
Roxanne's?
No, I haven't been there in a month. I mean,
Okay, I was there. I got there late on Monday, and one of the comedians talked about. I guess his kid is like talking about how he learned that marijuana is bad, and so like it ended up becoming like, even though I'm on stage, he and I had a conversation, if you will, while I was up doing my set. So I thought it was really funny, and that works because we both have kids, and we both have different perspectives on the sticky icky.
yeah, and it's not a felony like it is in Florida. Florida, yeah.
Is
You have to live there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So this is crazy. My father-in-law, rest in peace, said that in like the 1950s, he said they arrested his cousin for having a marijuana seed on the property. And you and I are like, I don't, that just, it doesn't seem realistic. But then you go back in time to a low income Hispanic neighborhood, marijuana was treated differently. And there, the guy, my father in law passed away, but it's a crazy story. And then, like you said, yeah, and the state rules
Yeah,
are
just think of the name of it, marijuana. I mean, there's a racist connotation to that, giving their name cannabis marijuana, like Mary Jane.
you might be above my pay grade on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I just it's history, you know what I'm saying? Just learn like that's what I learned from history class about why marijuana was legal and not cigarettes or alcohol.
But what's crazy is I was in the deep south for work. I was in a small town about 90 miles away from Nashville, Tennessee. I think I doubled the Jewish population in one visit. But what I remember is this woman came. It was kind of sad, actually. And this is, she said, she's like, I'm a vet. I served in Iraq. A lot of people in the South serve, which I'm appreciative of. And she says, weed's not legal in Tennessee. I'm hoping it is legal next year in Alabama. So she would literally have to drive across state lines to get weed. And I don't think she was BSing me. It wasn't like, I just want to get high. I think she literally needed this for her
Nah,
PTSD.
yeah. I lived in Texas for 3 years. It's about the same. And there's a lot of dry counties. Basically, on Sundays you can't buy alcohol.
Now, so does that mean the liquor store is closed?
Pretty much, but there's not that many liquor stores in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the part of Texas I was, there's like food markets where they sell beer.
But like, in Utah, like I don't know you've been to Utah, but the liquor stores are run by the state. And because of their, I don't know, their blue light, whatever their laws are, there's certain times you can't buy booze. And I don't get it either, but they're state-run liquor stores, which is weird because you would think if you privatize that and if you made it accessible on the weekends, and I think it also, I don't know if it affects restaurants, but I'm a numbers guy. And for me, the compromise isn't about religion. It's like, don't drink and drive, don't get high and drive. That's it. I'll give you your legalization and your.
I want to let you know something. You're like the give me a second here. Fourth Jewish guest I've had on this.
What you're seeing other Jews? You're cheating on me? Like I am.
Well, you know, Jewish male guests. I mean, I've had 3 Jewish female guests before.
I have if it'll my am I I am okay. Like I will. It's okay. It's okay. I have other black comedy friends. So you know what? Like we what was the impetus to have other Jewish guests?
I lived in Hollywood for 8 years. I'm not running around a lot of Jewish people.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess it's
and I'm telling you, in the Hollywood comedy scene, you just run into a lot of them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking and I was like, I wonder who else. I was like trying to name some of the Jewish comedians I know just from my immediate circle, and I was like, okay, if I ever wanted to put together like a Jewish themed show surrounding a Jewish holiday, who would I peg for that, or who would I say like this guy, this girl, whatever? If it was that,
there is one, but I forgot. Yeah, there's one that's like Seth Rogen. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen him at the Roxanne's mic. I forgot his name.
There's Gabe Cohan is that.
I think that's.
Yeah, he's one of. He's a funny guy. He hosts the open mic, at Rec Room in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
So, that's a big gig, man. That's like that's like a 3-hour open mic every Sunday because it's the only one in town, as far as I know.
And there's another one that I've seen at Reddit a few times. I've seen at Beach Court Social House. I can't remember his name. He has
There's another Seth, and he's really funny. Like, I like his comedy. And then I worked with the guy who I liked on a show, David Rosenberg. I forget it. I think Rosenberg.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, very funny man. I liked him. So
yeah, he's a friend on Facebook. I've seen him a few times in the Hollywood scene, and he's from Boston.
Are you still doing the Hollywood scene, by the way?
Nah, not anymore. I mean, it's just the Hollywood. It's easier to get on stage in Long Beach compared to Hollywood. Because Hollywood is
it's hard to leave our bubble, like if it's not for a show, it's hard to justify like why am I. It's just you get kind of with Pedro and Long Beach. Our strength is community, but our weakness is, and I'm not just talking about comedy. We really like where we are.
In general, yeah, it's a bubble.
I was like, it's very comfortable. I don't think I would have gone down to San Diego last night if it wasn't for like, hey, there's an actual show here. And I love San Diego. It's a fun town. Like I have, and so I stacked it. I had insurance clients in the morning or in the afternoon rather. And then I have friends that were out there and then I have my show that night. So it jammed in there pretty nicely. I was happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Going down that 710, it's a mission. It's a mission.
And Pedro's even more so, just getting anywhere. Whatever. I'm sure people were thrilled that we're talking.
Oh, we're
bitching about traffic. Like, yentering it up about the freeways, which last night somebody talked about the San Diego traffic and everybody laughed. So maybe that's like one of those equalizers that will, like, I could be in the middle of nowhere and talking and bitching about the traffic. And I feel like that's I don't know if that's easy.
Yeah, in Hollywood, you don't really get that much time to really do a set. You only get like most of the time like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I heard you can wait 4 hours in line at some of the big like clearinghouse comedy places in Hollywood, and you may not get picked.
Yeah, that's most of the time at Hollywood Improv. I mean, the Comedy Store. Laugh Factory, they pretty much like you gotta be like one of the first 10 to sign in, and you gotta wait in line for like 2 hours.
Yeah, like that's and I've talked to the younger guys about this, especially, but you and I know like our time we don't have as much time as we think we do.
Especially being parents.
Like, having like another job besides comedy, and it's just like the free time goes away. It's really interesting. And I would almost like, and this is not me like saying this from a position of authority. This is me saying this as like a guy who struggles with time management, but whatever we do, like, I just like, we have to be efficient with our time, and it's hard to justify going there, waiting for such a long time. And I think it was AJ Santos, who's a really funny guy. He says,
I remember.
Why do we need to go there when we can be the best in Long Beach, the best in Orange County, and we can build up and we can do things here? And yeah, San Diego was very far, but I was on a show and it was 7 minutes on a show in front of civilians. And the only downside to that is you can't try out a new joke that you're like I think I had like one new joke. I was like, I think this will work, but otherwise it was like preset stuff that I would hope it worked.
That's why I like doing open mic.
Yeah, like a local open mic in Long Beach where they give me bonus time, then I can go crazy and just be like, all right, I'm strong enough internally that if this fails, at least I know like if it's good or bad.
Yeah, I want to tell you, the Boston scene is like the Long Beach scene, pretty much, because it's a small city. I mean,
yes,
like most comedians know each other, and it's a community. And you get most of the time about the same as Long Beach, 7 minutes, 5-7 minutes.
How many mics did you do when you were in Boston?
I did 3.
And did you find like, hey, were they more or less friendly? Because you're out of town, but you're not looking to like steal their work. You know what I mean? Like, you're not looking to...
they did give me shit for the way I sounded. Like, oh, you sound slow, but otherwise they were cool.
How rude! I don't make fun of. I would never like. Why that's but like, I was the guy who you've seen me enough times. Like, sometimes, like especially right now, looped up on coffee, sometimes I need to slow down. So maybe it's like better to, like be more methodical. The headliner last night, I think Steve Henry, funny guy, I want to say out of Florida, he was like very methodical, and he was able to
Was that
take
the
it.
Laugh Factory?
This was at Mic Drop Comedy in San Diego.
Oh.
I'd never been there before, but he was like one of those dudes who was able to like. He's like one of those baseball pitchers that walks around the mound after every pitch or two, and which is not allowed anymore, right? But I would think though in Boston they'd be super friendly because hey, you showed up as an out of towner, but you're not looking to like, Vegas. I always feel like I get a good reception there because I'm just here for the night. I'm having fun, and then I won't be here for like 6 months to a year. I'm not going to be some guy competing with you for spots day in and day out.
Yeah, I got a lot of laughs with me because I use a lot of California material that just wouldn't fit like New England, like the In and Out joke. Like saying asking people like where's In and Out, like not in this coast.
No, oh, okay. So you were like very going to make some very specific burger jokes, people. Like I hope, but you know what? They love my cousins from New York when they come to town, and I know a lot of people like this. The first thing they do when they leave the airport is they go to In and Out. So it's funny. Like you could probably get away with making. I don't think you're crossing like you're not crossing the line.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much a California thing. Every time I'm in the East Coast, I ask them. I like to troll people and ask them like, where can I find an In and Out? Like, what?
Where is it? Yeah. What aren't they? Isn't Boston like that's Five Guys territory, right? Like that's their deal.
No. Their deal is Dunkin' Donuts.
No, but I mean, like for a burger, like I know how big Dunkin' is.
Burger. I didn't really see a burger spot. Like I didn't see Five Guys. I didn't really see like big burger chains over there.
I thought like Five Guys. You know what they have there? Have you been to Upper Crust, the pizza place?
No.
Okay, that's good. It's good pizza. Like whatever. I mean, this is kind of irrelevant.
I would say they had Shake Shack. Shake
Shack is That's like my kids. I don't know, like your kid likes kids like Shake Shack. Like my son is very pro Shake Shack.
That and just Dunkin's was everywhere. Like at the train station around the corner. There's like one across the street from another Dunkin' Donuts. It was.
You know what? When I buy Dunkin' Donuts for some of my insurance meetings and I bring them to clients, if there's no Dunkin' in the area, they are very appreciative. Like they appreciate me spending crazy FU Dunkin' Donuts money on them versus like the local donut shop that is around the corner.
I mean, to me, Dunkin's is mid. I'm a Randy's person.
Randy, is that the big donut?
Yeah, that one.
Wait, is Randy's? Is that the one that's like in? It's like in kind of a sketchy neighborhood. There's probably more than one, right?
Yeah, it's in Inglewood, but there's one in Torrance too.
So I heard this because I work with a lot of people in the law enforcement community. It's kind of like, when you play Capture the Flag, there's like that safe zone or like the DMZ between North and South Korea, like whatever you want to call it. That's kind of like Randy's Donuts. Like at some point, the cops and the bad guys, like the criminals, they will all go to Dunkin' Donuts throughout the evening, and it's agreed. We don't give you a hard time. You don't give us a hard time. Everyone's just chilling out, taking a break, having a donut and some coffee, and just like we're all off the clock right now. That's their Capture the Flag safe zones.
Are there any Dunkin's in Long Beach? Because the one in the area where I'm at is in Wilmington, like right by the freeway.
Yeah, there's one. Wait, in Pedro?
No, it's in Wilmington.
Oh, okay. Oh, there is. Yeah, we've got one Dunkin' in Long Beach, like heading out of town. Again, more specific traffic talk. Yeah. Because like sometimes I go to that one too because I want to drive through, but occasionally. Although lately, like if I track my donut consumption analysis amongst insurance clients, which is what people are tuning in for right now, I've noticed that it's usually like it's usually women working in an office setting that are more pro donut than the cops right now. I can't tell you why that demographic has flipped. So I'm
as Postmates DoorDasher, yeah, it's pretty much the main.
It's really funny. This is a good story. So years ago, I was at a job site. It was a big nursing home. This is for insurance. And I was told by the manager, who was actually a family friend, whatever, and she said, "Can you bring in some snacks for my team?" And I go, "Yeah." And I brought in like one big tray of donuts and one big tray of croissants. And at the end of the day, they ate everything. Like they literally, like you could have seen a tumbleweed go by. It was just desolate, barren wasteland. All the food was gone. And I said to the assistant manager, who was she was a big girl, saying this gracefully. She was not small. I said, "Hey, was everything okay with the food?" And she goes, "You know what? You brought really unhealthy food. I think you did it wrong." And I was like, "Okay, just don't hold back here." She's like, "Can you bring healthy snacks next time?" And the next week I came back, I brought a tray of vegetables and a tray of fruit, and they didn't touch it except for the pineapple.
Oh
It's like
wow.
they ate the pineapple and they left everything else there. They would not go near it. So
What are fruit? Like bananas, apples?
I was like, like you got the tray of like veggie snacks, like carrots and green beans or whatever. And I don't eat meat. I'm kind of like I'm a pescatarian, which means everybody hates me. It's the dietary equivalent of being an independent voter. And does that joke work? Keep that for later. I don't know, like maybe. So I'm also that, by the way. More reason to hate me. But anyway,
You know what, Seth? You're gonna hate me right now, but I voted for Kanye in 2020.
Kanye. Well, is he peace and freedom?
What happened?
Is he peace and freedom party? Or is he
Yeah. It was peace and freedom, and
like him and Roseanne?
California put him on a ballot with some other guy, Rocky De La Fuente or whatever.
I don't hate anybody that actually goes and votes. I appreciate the process of voting, but yeah, it's but like dietary wise, like where are we going with this? Like I don't eat meat, so but I know like yeah, I guess they didn't appreciate the healthy snacks.
So basically, Seth, the only meat you eat is white meat, fish.
Yeah, I'll do fish. Like I haven't given up because of all the things I've given up. And I never actually got to go to In-N-Out before I gave up red meat. So I assume it's good. Everyone says it's good, but I never actually got to have In-N-Out. So I will. I'll just.
Like I really cut down a lot of my beef usage. So I mainly.
Well, welcome to 40, right? Yeah, it's I don't. One thing. Have you noticed, like, too, with comedy, it'd be very easy to fall into like. Every place we go has like a bunch of fun bar food, right? Bunch of beer, bunch of fried stuff. Like it can be super fun to do that. But do you think maybe we have to be more careful about that because we're older? I don't know if I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, cholesterol. Yeah, especially fats and all that. Yeah.
I have this theory with comedy, which is like for a comedian, old, bald, and overweight, pick 2 out of 3. That's it. So I'll go with old and bald. I'm going to try not to go with like over.
I'm on the same boat, but
yeah, I was like
old, bald, and black.
Yeah, bald and yeah, but still skinny. All right, like still trying to maintain. So I had a funny moment once before an open mic where the younger comedians are in the car parked next to mine, and they're alternating between where the cars are parked. They're alternating between puffs of weed and like beer, and I'm in the car finishing my macrobiotic salad because I'm intermittent fasting and I have to be done eating by 8 p.m. And I'm just looking and it's like, this is I was like, I guess when I was 23, although after about 24, I started being really good about like not drinking and driving. I was like, I need to be more responsible about this, but, or after 23, whatever. But I was looking at them. I'm like, yeah, this is an age gap thing. Right. So, and whatever, it was still really funny, I think. How long have you been doing this this StreamYard platform?
I've been doing this live stream podcast since January. It was a New Year's resolution for me.
Was the resolution just to be more active and do this and kind of have a voice out there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I'm just evolving with YouTube because YouTube now is like this is the next stage of YouTube, like doing like live streams. I mean, back when I started back in 2013, it was doing like let's plays, and then around 2016 was reaction videos, and now I'm caught up with doing live streams.
What do you do if you don't have a guest? Like, let's say I had canceled at the last minute. Do you just riff on the news, or?
Yeah, it's pretty much me talking for about 10 minutes.
And then how long Like, is this one of those things where, hey, after, well, there's no cutoff. You could, in theory, be like rambling on the Senate floor, reading greetings at ham. You can go for hours on this, or is this like, hey, do you get a warning sign saying you have 5 more minutes?
Pretty much wrap it up around the 40th minute mark.
Okay, so that's like, so you've got a 40-minute window then to. It's like using a collect. It's like the days of using a payphone, right? Like you have 5 minutes to wrap this up.
I don't know. This might inspire you to create your own live stream.
I have it's I think I'm trying to think if this is my first live stream.
Oh, it is? Oh, wow.
I was like, yeah. So I think again, one of the weird byproducts of getting into comedy later in life is that it's sort of forced me to embrace tech, like, and do things like, hey, editing video clips, joining Instagram, posting on Instagram, creating a flyer for a comedy show, like all these things that are sort of the very unglamorous pieces that like make up something, a lot of unspectacular parts go into something that you hope is spectacular, I guess, or funny or entertaining, right? Like, I had an insurance client that they logged, I think they logged videotape and they did the captioning and the subtitles, right? Like the closed captioning, that was them. And it's a bunch of people.
I've pretty much been tech savvy since the World Wide Web era. You know what I'm saying? Like the GeoCities, that era.
You still got your CompuServe account? Is that running strong?
One of those, you know what I'm saying? The dial-up internet and pretty
much
using HTML and all that.
Is like, you're the guy that like is MySpace going to get the Pac-12 network? That's a really obscure like tech and sports reference I just made. I feel like a room full of comedians, because I run into very few comedians that are big sports fans. Like, it's a weird thing, like, because we tend to care more about comedy, but I just feel like that joke needed to be made. Yeah, like, I know you're like, I think I was talking to my wife about this. I said like, hey, John's like, this is the one comedian guy. He's kind of like the tech comedian, like, which, do you think that separates you a little bit from other comedians who are not as progressive with that, or do you think you're just maintaining pace with a lot of other people? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just maintain pace. I mean, yeah.
Maintain pace or whatever. Where
yeah, but the thing is, like, a lot of my humor comes from a different generation. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean,
sure.
I make off as offensive to other people. That's the feedback again. Like, a lot of my stuff is offensive because it's blunt.
Because you're blunt. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I was on a show last night, and then this morning I'm like, oh God, I got to post. I got to thank people. I got to find like a 10-second clip so I can send that up. It's got to be the right clip. It can't like, it's got to touch on the right nerve, like the right zeitgeist, if you will. But it's work. You got to sit there and force yourself to do it. It's a discipline. I don't think people understand sometimes. There's some serious legwork that goes into comedy if you are serious about it. This might be fun. We're just BSing around, but it is also work. It is a process, right? So,
especially the writing, you know what I mean? Especially it takes writing of jokes. It takes hours.
It can, yeah. Like I wrote down this joke this morning off of what happened last night, and I'm like, okay, do I take this? Do you ever find like you're like, do I take the joke and put it with another bit I'm working on or I already have, or is this going to be its own separate, like standalone structure, right? And that takes a while too. And it's like, well, how many times am I going to try this out? Will it start off as part of something and then kind of like pull away like is it amoebas or euglenas? I'm going to get very specific on like junior high biology here. What are the single-celled organisms that like separate from one another eventually? I don't know the answer. Amoebas. All right. I'm dang it. I don't have my science book from 8th grade in front of me. So this is your only stream today, right? Like, you only do one week?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm thinking of starting a Wednesday stream and have more guests to talk about like what's popping, like what's popping on the internet.
Like kind of a current events, like a Bill Maher type, like, hey, here's what's. Would you do news? Like, would you do politics, news, pop culture? Like,
be all of that. I mean, do you watch something called the Breakfast Club?
Are we talking about the movie from 1985?
No. It's pretty much like a morning show, like a hit morning black show. Pretty much about like politics, sports, news, what's viral, that genre. That's it.
I haven't heard of it, but I see people on those shows, and do you ever think like on the big level too? Do you ever worry like, hey, if I talk politics or I open up how I feel one way or the other, do you ever worry about like losing audience, like in terms of current or future? You know, because politics are so
It's so divisive.
it's so divisive.
Remember, Seth, we grew up in an era where we didn't really speak politics because we know it would be divisive. But now folks are so since Trump, everybody's been so open about it.
I noticed last night this one joke that I really liked from this one comedian.
Yeah.
It wasn't a political joke. It was more of, I guess I'm going to call it a lifestyle joke. It was my favorite joke that all the other comedians made. And somebody I know who was at the show last night basically said that was his least favorite joke because it was just a difference of lifestyle. Isn't that crazy? Like we were so, and it was a joke. It wasn't anything like, and the comedian was making fun of herself, which I'm a big fan of. You know, like you see me on stage, I'm a big fan of make fun of yourself. I live that life, right? But I sometimes think about that is like, hey, if you get this really big platformer as you know, do you ever worry like, and I think most people who show up for comedy aren't worried, they just want to laugh. And I don't really do politics anyway, but I was like, I wonder if, like I was reading this interview with this guy who played on the US men's soccer team, and you can't ask him specific political questions because his kind of handlers are like, they don't want him to say the wrong thing and alienate people because things get twisted. So you pretty much, if you're talking to this guy, it's got to be kind of like soccer first, soccer second, soccer third. And to be fair, or football, whatever, like I don't need to know your political situation, whatever. I mean,
I want to point out that's what I like about the Long Beach scene compared to Hollywood, because Hollywood you hear politics all the time, like political, like a Margaret Taylor Greene joke every third or fourth comment.
Yeah, it's just, well, also like I feel like, don't you feel like in your personal life, especially having kids or whatever, you know, being a dad, like I feel like there's enough stuff I can find where I don't really have to talk about politics in general.
Yeah, there's something up with your mic.
Oh, is there something up with my mic?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now
okay, we good? Like we had this conversation last night. So I have like a lot of my humor stems around like me, my wife, my kid, and my dad, right? Those four pillars. And I feel like whether I'm in San Francisco or Alabama, wherever you want to put me, I think that those sort of four component parts, I think they would work anyway. I would like to think, you know, I talk a lot about like my son is 10, right? He's got a girlfriend, or he had a girlfriend, and then there's another girl that likes him.
It's very relatable anywhere you go.
I would like to think that's going to be funny no matter where I go, you know. And I somebody said, you know, it's like Chris Rock had this interesting quote. He said, and this is like me talking about somebody who's so much like he's on the Mount Rushmore for me.
He's one of my top 5.
Yeah, he's on the Mount Rushmore, right? And he said, with comedy, you're judged on how difficult the landing of the plane is. I know I'm not saying that right, but what I took from that is it'd be very easy to talk about a politician and go, okay, there's people there that hate this guy and they're going to love it, you know, and then if you and then if they hate it, well, whatever. But I don't know, like, you know, remember the last time Eddie Murphy hosted Saturday Night Live a couple years ago?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. As I recall, in the cold open, which was a political sketch, he didn't do it. He was in like every other sketch and he killed. He's amazing. Again, probably on that Mount Rushmore, right? But he stayed away from the political component of the show, which it's just like, I think he just wanted to focus on like, hey, I'm here for comedy. I'm not here for
yeah, exactly. Comedy is in a way is a distraction from what's really going on, you know.
That's what it should be. I don't think I didn't see anyone who showed up last night with like a political axe to grind. I think they showed up because they were like, this is what I would like to they just wanted to laugh. Have you know, hey, I have a question. Do you find sometimes like, because you've been doing this for 8 years, when do my friends stop showing up at my shows? You know what I mean? Like, when does that well run dry?
I don't know.
All right. Can you find out that answer, please? Is it like 2 months, 2 years, 7 months, and 5 days? Because I had a bunch of friends show up last night, which is great, and I'm very flattered. But I also know it's not, you know what I mean? It's not sustainable, right? It's very much.
Let me think about that. Let me think about that for a second.
All right, I need it's my inner math geek. If I was better at math, I need a specific number so I know. All right, it's been 2 years and and 184 days. Like my friends are no longer going to ever show up to anything because I've had
I had a friend show up once. Yeah, I've had a friend over one time, and he was saying like all these comedians suck except for one. And it was just so opinionated about it, like I didn't invite him again.
Oh, no, I don't. That's crazy. Like I don't. I would never. They'll say like I like this guy, I like this one more, whatever. But yeah, they're usually like very. And maybe it's a bad vacuum to be in because your friends tend to be so supportive, and you're like,
I've been trying to invite my family over when I'm in Gardena, like the brothers might, because I grew up there. I was born like just a block away from brothers.
Yeah, I've got a couple buddies who live right by Beer Garden, and one of them will show up. My buddy Dom will show up. Like he's my monthly, he'll because he's like up the street, and I have another buddy who just moved there. But you have to also disclaimer it and go, it's experimental night. I'm going with some new stuff. Like I'm not going with the stuff that has got a proven track record. So you hope that they're. I don't think I'm inviting anyone who's like easily offended. But all right, I need to know the exact month and date where it's like, hey, your friends have done their time. Now you're on your own. What's your next? You've done this for 8 years. What's your next goal in comedy?
My next goal is getting booked and going around the country and doing comedy. Like Boston was fun. It was a fun experience doing my material on the East Coast.
Were you you went so you were booked at a couple places there, or you just said, hey, I'm going to be there, let me plug in a couple open mics? How did you?
Go to a couple open mics, try to network and see if I'll get booked at future shows over there.
Yeah, it's funny, I went to Vegas for work 3 weeks ago, and I hit an open mic, and then it's run by Mistress K, who is really funny, and I like her, and then she saw me there, and then she booked me for San Diego. So it's the world of comedy, right? I traveled to Vegas to get a gig in San Diego, which makes zero sense. But it's like, hey, it's like, all right, let's make this all work. And I think we were talking about this. Like, if you can plug in your day job where you are traveling for comedy, that works really well, right? So for insurance,
Seth, I did one open mic in Seattle. Yeah. I mean, the energy was just off.
I wonder, do you think it was just? Do you find like? I never like to blame the place. I was like, well, I can't control the laughs. All I can control is my energy. Yeah. Like, am I upbeat? Am I into this? Am I bringing good energy even if I don't? So last night I even said, I'm like, I'll just be very energetic and I'll be enthusiastic on stage. And I know that sounds kind of cliche because I don't know how the crowd's going to react, but I try to bring that every time. I feel like
you bring a Danny Tanner type of energy, you know what I'm saying?
I bring goofy dad energy. It's like even if it's like 3 comedians in the audience. Well, I was like, all right, let them at least see that I'm enthusiastic, and this is the only place I want to be right now. Obviously,
you noticeably like in the Long Beach scene, you're like the main person that brings the dad jokes. I don't really hear dad jokes from other comedy shows.
I have a monopoly on it. If you bring one up, it's a class 2 legal action against you. I'm gonna be I was like, I'm clear. I've got a zoning permit. Only I can make the. Damn it! You're stealing my. Somebody last night had one of the comedians last night. He had a joke about having a safe word. And I have a joke that, like, he's never seen me and I've never seen him before, but I have a safe word joke, whatever. And I was like, no, like, other people are stealing an idea from me they've never heard of before. Dang it. Like, this is not like, this is supposed to be my thing. So I want
to ask before we wrap this up, like, who was your biggest influence anyway doing comedy?
Oh, like when, I loved Chris Rock when I was younger. I liked Emo Phillips. I thought he was really funny. I liked Sam Kinison, but they were like on this pedestal of like, it's like watching a professional athlete. So then when so what it came down to was listening to comedians talk about, like on the Howard Stern show, about how they got into comedy, what made him start. And so you'd hear people like David Spade or Pete Davidson just talk about, hey, I did this in a bowling alley. Kevin Hart, like doing comedy in front of nobody. And I was like, okay, I can't relate to doing comedy in front of a big room of people, but I could certainly try doing this at a bowling alley or at like a slotted mic or something like that. So Nikki Glazer saying, hey, yeah, it starts off when you're in a room full of 3 people. I was like, well, she's amazing and she's one of my favorite comedians, but I can connect to that. I can visualize myself in a room full of 3 people as a starting block. Before I visualize myself, my vision of like on stage. So we are, by the way, we are at the 41-minute mark. So I think I've,
we're about to wrap up in about, I'll say like 3 minutes. But
cool.
yeah, I want to bring up what inspired me to do it.
Yeah, tell me.
Whitney Cummings making fun of me at a comedy store.
Were you there as a comedian or were you there just for fun?
I was there as part of the audience with a date, and she made fun of it.
You were like the front row guy?
Yeah.
Did you want to be front row to that show, or was it they just put you there?
They put me there. And I had a hoodie on, and she made fun of my hoodie.
Oh, that's funny. Do you remember, because you've been doing this for 8 years, you remember the J Spot in Inglewood?
I think I know where it is. I've never been there.
Okay. I don't know when it closed down. I don't think it's around anymore. I don't know if it. So I went there once for my regular job, and for a comedy night, and they put us in the front row. And I'm a 6'4" white guy at a comedy store in Inglewood in the front row. And I think every comedian took shots at me, and I could not. I was loving it, and I was like, okay,
you was the easy target, bro.
It was like, and it was like good for them. I think it was like, hey, if this helps. Looking back, I'm like, if this helps you, like, I was like, oh my god, can we do this again?
I mean, look at this way, Seth. At least you didn't go to a Dane Cook mic. Oh my god, he would have. If he was in the front, he would have roasted you.
Oh, okay. Is that his? He's like a front row picker-on guy.
Oh yeah, he's roasted. I'll see what improv.
I am. Too funny. Well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah. We want to wrap it up, but yeah, I mean, it was good having you on, Seth.
No, it's delightful. I will see you again. I feel like for this, I owe you a beer next time I see you, my friend. At I guess it'll be our monthly mic at Beer Garden Social House. So
yeah, I'll probably see you at Roxanne's or.
I'm gonna try to be. I got to practice next week.
But yeah. On Thursday, if you missing the open mics, there's one at Padone's Pizza in Hermosa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I heard you told me about that one. I think. All right. I feel like going to Hermosa. I'm gonna go there. So, all right, my man, John. It was a pleasure. I'm gonna hit the X button, and then I think I fade away. Okay, boss.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
All right, you too, buddy. Thanks so much.
Yeah, peace out.